This is Jody Essex from the Iowa Procurement Technical Advisory Center, also known as PTAC. Ms. Essex is going to go into detail about the valuable information that this organization can provide you as a government contractor to help in finding government business. Jody, the floor is yours. I believe you can share your screen.
Yes, just one second. And oops, I go into presentation mode here. Just a second. And share. Okay, let me know if you guys are all seeing my screen.
Yep, I can see it. Great, Jody.
Perfect. Well, thank you guys for inviting me to present today to your audience. And again, Larry, thanks so much for the great tee up. I think a lot of what Larry just got done discussing really intertwines well with very similar things that we do at the PTAC. I'm also gonna just put my camera off just for a moment because I'm gonna be staring at my side screen, which is where my slides are. So one moment. Okay, so a PTAC, a Procurement Technical Assistance Center, we're called PTACs. How can it help grow my business? So first of all, what is a PTAC? A PTAC is, sorry, I should start over for a sec. We're centers all across the United States that assist businesses with government contracting. We are funded by the Department of Defense, and our program is actually written into statute initially to help grow our defense industrial base. So that is why we're funded by the Department of Defense, but I think there's a good understanding there that in order to become a defense contractor, that's kind of the top of a pyramid. And so really to grow the companies that are capable of performing on those contracts, our program was instilled to help build people to that level. So kind of as Larry stated too, you kind of start at the bottom. A business who's new to government contracting would start with state and local, selling to your city, selling to your county, selling to your state agencies and maybe a university, and then starting at the federal government and then growing, you kind of grow up a ladder. So that's why we exist and typically how PTACs work with businesses. And we'll work with businesses of any size. It's not just small business. We also partner a lot with large primes. And that really helps us help smaller businesses in the subcontracting arena. So look at our map here. There is a PTAC center in every state. I think on the map, there might not be one in South Carolina at the moment, but some PTACs, we all look a little bit different. Some are statewide PTACs, and you can see those are the red dots where the PTAC might serve the entire state. So for example, our PTAC is hosted by Iowa State University. So they put up some of the money to fund a PTAC. Department of Defense puts up the rest of the money. Some are regional PTACs, so they might be housed at a Chamber of Commerce or within the state's economic development office, or they just might be a standalone PTAC. So sometimes you'll see just the word PTAC, but also know if you don't see the PTAC, they might be kind of housed with a small business development center or some other entity. But if you are having trouble finding out who your PTAC is, please reach out to me and I'll show you how you can find them. So what we do, really, the bread and butter of what we do is one-on-one counseling with businesses. We also do training, education, workshops, networking events, and partner with agencies in primes on industry days and things like we're doing here today. But the bread and butter is counseling, and I'm going to go into a really good amount of detail today, hopefully to discuss what exactly we do, what we can do. There's only a couple things that we don't do, and I'll touch on that too. So let me first start with training and networking events. PTACs are a great resource because we are generalists in a way. We have to understand the entire government, not just the federal side, but we also understand how things work locally, and really put ourselves in the shoes of the business that we're working with. And sometimes just having education on how the government works is a lot of what we do. And so the best way to do that sometimes is just through training workshops, webinars. We'll also do help businesses partner and network to find maybe teaming partners or joint venture type partners. A lot of PTACs do what's called a Meet the Buyers event, where we'll bring in several agencies. So perhaps like we'll bring in our GSA, OSDBUs, and other federal agencies, state agencies, and give that opportunity for businesses so they can kind of come to one event and meet with a lot of different agencies and do their marketing that way. Some PTACs, or several of us, have access to a system called Govology. So this is a platform full of on-demand webinars that typically have a cost to them. So if you're really trying to understand like GSA schedules, for example, of course we would sit down and coach you one-on-one, but sometimes we'll have training sessions on this Govology platform that are taught by a government contracting lawyer, and who can really get into the details a lot more than a PTAC could. So yet another benefit of working with us is there's a lot of resources that you can get for free. So that's our training and networking and education type workshops and events. But then we get into counseling. And again, everything that PTACs do as far as counseling goes is no cost. Most PTACs provide all of their services and events for free. If there ever is a charge for an event, it's strictly just to maybe cover the cost of food or to help assist a little bit with the venue. But for the most part, most everything you're going to get from your PTAC is of no cost to the business. So again, kind of when we start working with somebody, we get companies of all levels. I'll get businesses that come to us that have never sold anything in the government market before, and they just want to see if it's a viable option. So we'll take that business to anyone who, someone already has a GSA schedule and they're trying to get through the modification process and they just don't understand, or they're trying to submit an invoice in wide area workflow and having issues with that. We help with those technical kind of things as well. But some of the things we do, and I'm going to go through each of these in a little bit more detail, but this is a roadmap we typically follow. It's like, we're going to help a business get started. How do you market to the government? How do you find opportunities? How do you bid on them? Once you have a contract, how do you comply with it? And how do you deal with, post-award issues that you might have? And then some advanced contracting services too. And we categorize that as things like getting a GSA schedule or setting up a mentor-protege agreement, those kind of things. So typically the first thing that we will do is meeting with the businesses, try to help them understand what registrations do they qualify for and how would they leverage those types of certifications. Many of you are probably familiar with most of these certifications as they're federal, but there are some state specific ones too. So the one here in Iowa that we have is called the Targeted Small Business Program that our universities and DOT and state agency uses. So we do get a lot of businesses that will come to us with a lot of misinformation. So perhaps, it could be a company and the guy will say, I'm just going to make my wife 51% owner, and then we can get women-owned contracts. So we will definitely set the record straight and say it's a lot more than that. We'll help walk them through the certification processes. I would say the thing that's the hardest about our job is just when we get the hang of it, it changes. So for the longest time, the Women-Owned Small Business Program was a self-certification. Well, now it's not. The Service Disabled Program was actually two programs, one with the VA and one with the SBA, and they're merging into one. So we've got our finger on the pulse of that change. I think when GSA schedules consolidated, that was something that we all had our finger on the pulse of that too. And when you're working with a PTAC, the value to a business is we understand businesses wear so many hats and they don't always have time to keep up on all of the ever-changing things in the government. And believe me, I feel like this past 2 years, there's been nothing but change with sam.gov to beta.sam to pretty much anything and everything. It's always changing. So that is a huge chunk of what we spend our time doing, is just staying up to date on all the changes so that you can focus on your business, and then we can let you know when things are changing that might impact you. Marketing to the government's another good key thing that will help businesses understand, capability statements are a must in the federal level. If you've never done business in the federal level, this is probably not something that you're aware of. So we've got templates for that. We've got workshops that we'll review them, we'll give feedback. We'll help you understand the different points of contact. I loved Larry's slide where his Venn diagram, trying to make sense of who all the players are in the government space. We have a workbook that we walk clients through, just saying, this is what a contracting officer does. This is what the technical contracting officer does. This is the OSDBU. This is the small business office. This is, the officer, all the different players in the game, who they are, what they care about, so that, as a business, you can walk in when you're engaging with an agency and look like you know what you're doing, because it is super confusing. So that's kind of our job, is to make you as procurement ready as we can. And there's really there's not too many things that a PTAC won't do. There's only a few things that we are not allowed to do. And one of them is we cannot contact an agency on behalf of a company. So we can say, hey, you might want to reach out to your GSA, business opportunity specialist, or whoever it is. And these are the things you would want to ask, but we can't do it for you or for a business. We cannot write proposals for companies. Obviously, I could very easily be working with two agencies or two businesses going after the same procurement. We would keep that confidential. No one would know that I'm working with both of them. And I would coach them, just in each of their own best interests without disclosing things. Let me think what else. Oh, and and we cannot assist with bid protests either. So those are the three things that we cannot do. But pretty much anything else, if it's going to help a business win a contract or get closer there, we can do it or find a resource for that. This is probably my favorite step of what we do, is market research. I think there are, most federal information is available publicly. I think most of us know on the old FPDS, or USA Spending or whatever. We pay for some other platforms sometimes, depends on your PTAC, and can provide reports on, where should you be targeting? If you're not meeting your minimum GSA sales quota, I would highly recommend going to your PTAC and saying, hey, let's take a look at who else is buying what we're selling. We might take a step back and say, hey, are you even looking, and I know it won't help with the GSA, but are you looking in your own backyard, state and locally, to get some of that revenue in? I believe if you've got, do IT, I think some state agencies can even buy off GSA schedules for that. So we can dig up a lot of information and research. And my favorite tool that we have is, most everyone knows the federal information is publicly available, but we have a tool that we pay for that can look up state and local purchase orders. That's not easily available. Most of the time, if you want that kind of information, you'll have to go do an open records request with an agency. I absolutely love when I'm getting with a client and I'll say, tell me who your top competitor is. And then we'll plug their competitor's name into a system and can see all of their sales with government agencies. A lot of times businesses are really blown away by that, because you can see, oh, my competitor is selling to this city or this county, and this is the prices. It's public information. And so we really empower businesses to utilize it to their advantage. Finding bid opportunities. Of course, we can help you navigate SAM and how to set up safe searches there, but most all PTACs offer a free bid matching tool. There's a lot of bid matching tools out there that you can pay for. Most PTACs will offer this to a business for free, so you can get emails that tell you about city, state, county, and federal opportunities all in one email per day. So that's a really great tool. We can do research on expiring contracts. And then if you are responding to an opportunity and you just kind of don't know what all the legalese and the terms and conditions mean, we can kind of help you understand where you can get into big trouble. So for example, if there's Department of Labor wage requirements, things like that, we'll definitely make sure that companies are aware of compliance issues and other things. And then post-award assistance, this could be anything from you're going through a contract modification, a novation of your contract. If you're having performance issues, I've helped a business, it was a subcontractor where the prime contractor wasn't performing, and the sub was worried about how that was going to reflect on them. So, we'll talk you through it, what your rights are, what you can do, what you can't do, things like that. If there's reporting, invoicing systems, pretty much anything. Again, if you know it, or if you need assistance with it, let us know. And again, it seems like a lot to know with PTACs, and it is a lot to know. But again, I just want to point out our network. So many people who are in the PTAC role are ex-federal contracting officers. Many are ex-military. I was an ex-procurement agent at a university. I know some who used to be government contracting business owners. Some have worked for large primes. So our network of people, there's over 600 people in the PTAC working across the country, and we are all networked together. We pretty much all know each other for the most part. So if I don't know the answer to something, I have over 600 people and connections across the country that we can get answers to. We also partner with a lot of government contracting lawyers. Will do pro bono, ask questions for us and things like that. Department of Defense is really trying to get us networked straight into the government to help resolve issues. So if you're having trouble getting your cage code approved, we have a direct line to the cage help desk and can try to expedite things. So if you're waiting on your contract to be issued because of a cage issue, call your PTAC and we can have a direct call to the cage office. Perhaps we're trying to get a direct line into the Federal Service Desk as well, so that they'll prioritize PTAC calls. So that's, they're really trying to leverage how you can use us and get companies moving forward. So here's how you find your local PTAC at www.aptac-us.org. There's a little map over there, and you can just find your state and click on your PTAC. PTACs do work territorially. So if your business is in Iowa and you contact the Nebraska PTAC, most likely they're going to refer you back to Iowa. So, but again, we'll refer you where you need to be and hopefully assist it any way we can. So that's all I have. Are there questions?
Do we have any questions that came in, Amanda?
Nope, we do not have any questions.
Well, I must be really clear and concise then. That's awesome.
Sounds like it, Jody. Some great information.
Yes.
Thank you, Jody. And thank you all for this great information. I was just going to say, one thing that I took out of that was the no-cost counseling services. So if you haven't taken advantage of that, please do so, because I know that's a tremendous resource.